I had the opportunity to work with a young adult whose main barrier was self-injury. Her vision was to live a life without having to rely on maladaptive coping methods. This was something I was very familiar with, having struggled with it myself. During our time together, she was very hard on herself, and she would call herself weak every time she had an episode. She didn't have a lot of faith or hope for her success. She knew that I had a similar history, and she would ask me, "How did you manage to do this?" And with my history, I was able to say to her with authenticity and conviction, "I've been where you are. I know it looks daunting and impossible, but if you break it down, you're going to find that you have already taken quite a few steps towards your vision." So you reached out and you reached out for help even though you were terrified of being judged. And have you stopped to think about how brave that makes you? So I heard from her later, and she told me that she had heard that before, but that she believed it coming from me because she knew that I had been through it and I wouldn't lie to her. So she would come to me and talk to me about specific coping methods that she was given from her other providers, and she would be frustrated that they didn't seem to be working fast enough. She would tell me that she wasn't doing them the right way, and she was worried that her other providers would be disappointed in her. In my experience, sometimes the ideas behind a particular coping method are good. You just have to tweak it to suit you personally. So I shared with her the frozen orange method, and I told her about how I hated it because the orange would melt and create a sticky mess all over the place and would just make me more anxious. So I adapted it. I started scratching cans, and she was able to take that idea and adapt it to suit her own needs, and she found that she liked scratching wax. Later in the course of our time together, she started having insurance problems. She was going to have to switch therapists, and she was not happy about it. So I had to help her see this as a learning opportunity instead of a catastrophe. I shared with her my experiences of switching therapists too, and how it was scary, but since I had no choice, I used reflection on the time and what worked and what didn't work with that therapist, and then going forward, I had used it to find a therapist with those qualities, and she was able to then adapt that. And the insurance change was going to affect her services with me too. We had some forewarning to prepare, but she was still scared, and she didn't want to stop meeting with me when the time came. She said, "I haven't made enough progress. Just look at me. I'm crying. I can't do this. I want to get where you are." So having been in her shoes, I had more of an appreciation for crying, and I was able to say to her, "Yeah, you are crying. For people like us, though, that's a good thing. And you're choosing to feel. So that means you are taking steps toward your vision." I later got a text from her, and I read, "I hope so, because I want to help people with this problem the way that you've helped me. I want to become a peer mentor." So that was her new vision.